let's talk about clutter. And I'm not just talking about that pile of mail on the counter or the clothes draped over a chair. I'm talking about the clutter inside our heads. Today, we're going to dive into how clearing out our space, our physical, our digital, and even our mental space is one of the most powerful things you can do to get your focus back in this absolutely chaotic world. Does this sound familiar? That feeling of juggling way too much, your mind has like a dozen tabs open at once, and you feel stuck in this loop that just never, ever seems to end. If you've ever just wished for a little more clarity, maybe a little more control, trust me, you are not alone. And look, this isn't just some vague feeling we get. The connection between our outside world and our inside world is incredibly real. All the clutter in our lives, the physical stuff, the digital noise, even our relationships, it has a real, measurable impact on how we feel. So let's start with the science. Okay, so before we can even get to the how, we've got to understand the why. What is all this clutter actually costing us? Because I promise you, it's so much deeper than just not being able to find your keys in the morning. Now, this is where the science gets really fascinating. Multiple studies have shown that people who live in messy or cluttered homes actually have higher levels of cortisol. That's the body's main stress hormone. So that constant low-grade anxiety you might be feeling, your environment could literally be fueling it. And it doesn't stop there. The psychological toll is huge. See, clutter is constantly bombarding our minds with extra stuff to look at, making it way harder to focus and process information. And that leads to lower productivity and that feeling of always being behind. It can mess with our sleep, sink our overall life satisfaction, and lead to what's called decision fatigue, where even tiny choices like what to eat for dinner feel absolutely monumental. The bottom line is, a cluttered space almost always equals a cluttered mind. Okay, so we get it. Clutter is bad for us. But, if it were as simple as just knowing that, we'd all be living in these perfectly organized homes, right? The real challenge isn't usually the physical work of cleaning. It's the mental roadblocks that stop us before we even start. And this is such a core question, isn't it? Letting go of our stuff can be surprisingly emotional. These things aren't just objects. They get all tangled up with our memories, our sense of who we are, and all of our feelings. So let's see, do any of these sound familiar to you? There's the guilt, right? Guilt over money we feel like we wasted, or guilt about getting rid of a gift someone gave us. Then there's just the sheer overwhelm of it all, which of course leads to procrastination. Or maybe it's perfectionism, the fear of not doing it perfectly, so we just don't start at all. And of course, there's that powerful emotional attachment, and the classic trap, the just-in-case fallacy, where we hang on to things we haven't touched in years because, well, you never know. So to break through all those mental blocks, we need to kind of reframe the entire goal. This is not about depriving yourself or living in some sterile, empty white box. Minimalism really is just about being intentional. It's about consciously choosing to surround yourself only with the things that actually serve a purpose, add value to your life, or bring you genuine joy. It's all about making room for what truly matters. Okay, so here are 3 super practical steps to get your mind ready. First, you've got to define your why. What's the real goal here? Is it more time for a hobby? More mental energy for your family? Get specific. Second, you have to consciously forgive yourself for past purchases that just didn't work out. The money's gone. Holding on to the item out of guilt just makes you feel bad longer. And third, you have to actively let go of that just-in-case thinking. Trust your future self. You're resourceful. You'll figure it out if a real need ever comes up. All right, with our mindset prepped, it is time for action. Let's start with the most obvious culprit. All that clutter in our physical and, yes, our digital worlds. Now, the key to not getting totally overwhelmed is to start incredibly small. Seriously, don't even think about decluttering the whole house. That is just a recipe for burnout. Instead, I want you to pick one small, high-impact area, what we call a clutter hotspot. Maybe it's that one kitchen counter that just collects everything, or a single drawer in your desk. Clearing that one little spot will give you this immediate win, this great sense of accomplishment, and that's what builds momentum. And here are a few killer techniques for making quick decisions. First, the 15-minute timer. Just set it and see what you can get done. It's amazing. To keep things tidy later, use the 1 in, 1 out rule. When something new comes in, something old has to go. For those really tough choices, try the 90-90 rule. Ask yourself, have I used this in the last 90 days, and will I honestly use it in the next 90? If the answer is no to both, it can probably go. But above all, the ultimate question is always, does this serve me or does it bring me joy? Okay, now let's talk about a totally different kind of clutter. According to a recent survey, the average American spends over 7 hours a day staring at screens. 7 hours. Just think about that. That is a massive amount of digital noise and distraction pouring directly into our brains all day long. So, a digital declutter is every bit as crucial as a physical one. Here's a simple game plan. Take 15 minutes and just mass unsubscribe from junk email. Go through your phone and delete all those apps you never use. And here's the big one. Turn off non-essential notifications. You should decide when to check your phone, not the other way around. I'm telling you, that one step alone can free up an incredible amount of mental space. So we've tackled the physical and the digital, but some of the most draining clutter in our lives is the stuff that's totally invisible. Let's expand this idea now to our schedules, our relationships, and all that chatter that goes on inside our own heads. An overstuffed calendar is just like a cluttered room. It just creates stress. So try doing a time audit for 1 week. Just see where your hours are actually going. Then, each day, prioritize just only three important tasks. And most importantly, practice saying no to things that aren't essential. It's not selfish. It is absolutely self-preservation. Now, this can be a tough one, but it is so, so important. Just like physical objects, our relationships can either energize us or they can drain us. So I want you to take a moment, think about the key connections in your life, and ask yourself this very simple but very powerful question. It really just boils down to two types, right? Uplifting connections are built on mutual support and effort. You can talk openly, your boundaries are respected, and you generally feel energized after you hang out. On the other hand, draining connections, well, they often feel one-sided. You might feel like you're not being heard, your boundaries get ignored, and you just leave feeling exhausted. Just recognizing these patterns is the first step to putting your energy where it's truly valued. And finally, let's declutter the mind itself. When you're feeling completely overwhelmed, try what's called a brain dump. Just grab a notebook and write down everything that's on your mind. Tasks, worries, ideas, all of it. Just get it out of your head and onto the paper. To fight that feeling of being pulled in a million directions, use the rule of one. Just pick a single priority for the day. And at night, close things out with a simple reflection to kind of quiet down all those mental loops. So, we've walked through the mindset, the methods, the physical, digital, and intangible worlds. So what's the payoff? What's the big reward for all this? Let's talk about the ultimate prize, reclaiming your mental peace. This is why this stuff matters. Decluttering isn't just about having a neat and tidy home. It leads to these incredible holistic benefits. You get more mental clarity and focus. You feel more emotional calm. Research even shows that people in tidier homes report sleeping better. And with less chaos around you and inside you, you just have more energy. And ultimately, you feel a greater sense of control over your own life. I really want to end on this point because it's absolutely crucial. This whole journey is not about achieving some perfect magazine-worthy home. It is not another thing to feel stressed out or guilty about. Think of this as an act of self-care. It's about creating an atmosphere both outside and inside that supports your well-being. It's all about progress, not perfection. So I'll leave you with this thought. The goal isn't just to have less stuff. It's to make room. By clearing out what no longer serves you, what new hobby, what passion, what new relationship, or what incredible sense of calm will you invite into that beautiful newfound space?